Your frontal lobe developing is crazy because realizations start hitting you all at once. And one of the things that I can't stop thinking about is the fact that some adults are so unnecessarily rude, cruel, mean spirited to children just because the fact that they're children. And I'm 25 years old now, and I still remember the time my third grade teacher yelled at me with all of his might. Mind you, this man was 40, and mind you, I was 10. Like, I couldn't be older than 10. And yelled at me with all of his might to the point I remember seeing a vein pop out of his neck just because I asked a question about a test. Like, arrest me, arrest my 10-year-old self. I guess that triggered him in some way. I don't know what it was, but he yelled at me so hard. It was so humiliating. It was so embarrassing. And it made me really scared to speak up for basically all of my life. I still remember that, right? Like, I've always been a shy person, but like that kind of was like the nail in the coffin of like, oh, maybe I shouldn't like speak up because I'm gonna get yelled at. And that goes to show like a lot of those instances where adults are super cruel, super mean to us when we were younger stick with us. And I'm 25 now, and I would never in my I work granted I work with children, so I have to have some sort of patience, but I would never speak to a child in that way. Like, that there was absolutely no reason for him to do that, and I hope karma got him. But I just don't understand why some adults are just so unnecessarily just mean spirited to children just because they're kids. Even though, yeah, kids are annoying, kids are whatever, they still deserve respect from adults. Children still deserve respect from adults. It doesn't matter if they're 5, if they're 4, if they're 8, if they're 15. Like, there has to be some sort of respect. And it's just really sad how some adults just are just so mean, so bitter.
You're gossiping about your kids, you're literally ruining their reputation, you're lowering their self-esteem, and you're also getting rid of any trust. And I'm gonna say that's just 3 things. I can go on and on of stop downplaying your child.
When I work with children, teens, and families, this was a huge problem that parents had. Parents do not respect their children. Parents dehumanize their children and do not even treat them as someone with rights and values, but as an object that they own, that they have full control over. People would share such inappropriate details about their children to me and gossip about them and belittle the things that they care about or about their little crushes or when they went through a humiliating thing. They would overshare, and I found that very disturbing because if I was in their position, I would not share a single thing about my kid. I would never do that because that is so inappropriate, and you have to put yourself in your kid's shoes because they would be so embarrassed. I don't want to know that your kid peed your bed if that's not relevant. I don't want to know that your kid has a crush on somebody and like how they feel about it and to read their personal diary entry. I don't want to know that your kid got diagnosed with XYZ if that's not relevant in the moment. I don't want to know your kids' embarrassing stories. I don't want to know your kids' humiliating moments that make them feel very sad or anxious or makes them emotional because that is so disrespectful. And if I feel that way about the kid, right, and I'm not even their family, I'm just there to support them and work with them and work with the parent, then how do you think the parents are like, I lost my train of thought, but I don't know how these parents can do that. I truly do not know how they can do that. But then I remember, oh, right, we live in this world where we don't even value children. And throughout history, no one has actually valued children. Children's rights just barely got formed in some countries, and most countries still do not give children rights, right? Which is why a lot of children are married off and why a lot of children have to work so young when that is so crazy to me, right? We just barely are considering children, but we definitely do not dehumanize them, and I hope this can change in the future.
One micro thing you can do to advocate for the children in your life is to be appalled when their parents insult them. A lot of times, parents will get frustrated or they might just be abusive and lean on other adults who don't push boundaries when they disparage their children, which subconsciously tells them that this is okay. Some people insult their children and legitimately go into a flow state. Like, it's like a stream of consciousness. And when you sidestep that stream of consciousness and you go, wait, why'd you say that? Why would you say that about your child? No. Like, when you cut off that consciousness, they have to stomach what they just said. Like, they actually have to address that they call their child stupid, that they call their child fat, that they called their child lazy, that you are talking down about your child to your child's face or to another person. So those are micro things that you can do to humanize a child and remind the adult that they're talking about a person, not just an extension of themselves.
As long as people continue treating children like a subhuman nuisance, all of the evils in the world will continue because y'all will continuously consent to the exploitation and dehumanization of another person. Not just the big stuff like beating your kids or mistreating them as punishment, not believing survivors, making jokes about the Epstein files, which is sickening. Not just that stuff. I mean the little day-to-day stuff y'all like to do. Every day we get online, there's somebody complaining about the very existence of a child in public. Y'all want child-free grocery stores, child-free housing, child-free transportation. Every single day, there are no less than 3 posts about somebody complaining about a child on an airplane. Debate their very existence as a moral hypothetical as opposed to just treating them with the neutrality of all living things on earth. You shame their parents, especially their mothers, just for having them. You compare them to your pets, not in that fun like dog mom, cat mom way that's adorable, in that way that I've seen comments on the pages of bereaved parents grieving the loss of their children, and somebody in the comment is going, oh, I completely understand how you feel, my dog passed. Call them crotch goblins. You refuse to accommodate them out in the world that we all exist in. You belittle their interests and their needs, and that is greenlighting all of the exploitation that they experience. I'm not advocating for people to have kids. I am infinitely more pro-choice now than I was before I ever had my daughter. But I'm also not going to say that line, oh, you don't have to like kids, but you have to respect them. Because that very sentence that so often pops up on videos of people advocating for kids is the problem. Because you wouldn't say that about anybody else without being labeled a bigot. And the fact that that's even a negotiable about children is exactly why we see the crimes we see today.